What's up? A number of people reached out to me and said, "Hey Ninja, did you see that Peadar Tóibín interview with Grit Media?" And I said, "No, I haven't seen it yet." So I made it my business to have a look at it because a number of people said that they didn't like the interview. They didn't like it from multiple points of view, and as I was looking at it, I just jotted down a couple of things that I saw in that video, and what I've seen in the past with Ain2 doesn't fill me with hope for that party. Now, no member of Ain2 has ever reached out to me to come onto the channel for an interview. I'm always open to do it. No problem at all with me. I'm happy to do it. I'm happy to facilitate that. But nobody's ever reached out, whereas people that are in the nationalist cause have all reached out, and I've also reached out to them, and they've been very obliging and they've come onto the channel for a live interview. Not this, where you see a pre-recorded interview that can be edited, and it can also then leave out information that you might want to know, because if you ask someone something on the button at that time live, well, they have to either answer or not answer it. You can't talk around it and just be left at that. And that's what I noticed with this interview. Something else that I noticed about this interview, and for an awful lot of people that don't know, Peadar Tóibín is a business consultant. So if you didn't know that before, I'm sure when you rewatch that interview, you look at it again through a different pair of eyes, I would say, because I thought he came across very kind of salesman-like in this video. Now, what we're seeing here right now is John McGurk, and for anyone that doesn't know, John McGurk has flown the flag of Israel on his Twitter profile. I don't remember seeing him with the Irish flag being flown on his Twitter profile, but yeah, he had the Israeli flag there, so I think that that's quite interesting. So as soon as I saw this much, I said to myself, very strange that, because I actually think Ben Scanlon is the better reporter and journalist out of both of them, and I think Ben Scanlon actually has a lot better takes than John McGurk. I think he says some strange things at times. Something to note about Peadar Tóibín before we go on throughout the video: he was a Sinn Féin candidate in 2011, and he then left the party in 2018. When he was in UCD, he was a member of Fianna Fáil, and then left Fianna Fáil. So a lot of people are looking at that and they're saying to themselves, I don't like that. I don't like the fact that this guy has moved around a couple of different parties, and particular establishment parties. So that's to be noted, I would say. Ain2 not too long ago as well were bragging about how they had the most female candidates in their party. You know, that's a very strange thing to do and a very strange thing to say. But I noted a couple of things in this interview. I personally think that this interview was an absolute disaster. I think it was an unmitigated disaster. It was 29 minutes of absolute waffle from Peadar Tóibín. You know, he talks about there being no solution and no spearheading by people, and I have to disagree. I think an awful lot of people have gotten an awful lot of things done here in this country. I think they've woken up the masses, and I think a lot of people are unaware as to what had happened with Ain2 and Councillor Patrick Quinlan recently from the National Party, and I'm going to talk about it here in this video. You'll also see it in a previous video that the National Party have released themselves and that I've released here. But I said a number of things in the posts below, in the comments below here, and I put it down in bullet points. So number one, he was asked about mass deportations, and straight away he decided to go on a tangent of a rant, of talking around it. It's a simple yes or no answer, and the answer is yes. That should be the answer. That's the first point. The second point, he was talking about unity, and then he spent most of the time throughout this video, I thought personally, attacking other people, especially nationalists, and saying that they're not doing things the way he wants them to be done. Like, what are you talking about? You're talking about mending bridges and building bridges between people, and you're out here then talking smack about people that have done things that are feeling the brunt of what this government are doing in their communities. You know, there's people that have commented down below. We get down to the comments in a little bit, but like, they're talking about his own constituency here in Navan, and they're saying it's like Lagos, it's like Nigeria. You know what I mean? So, like, some of the stuff that he's saying in this here just doesn't wash with what he's actually doing then. Number 3, he attacks Justin Barrett out of nowhere. So, in this clip, he out of nowhere just attacks Justin Barrett. Now, I thought that was a very strange thing to do, given the fact that Justin Barrett has been widely gone viral around the internet now because he wouldn't speak to Ezra Levant from Rebel News. But something that Peadar doesn't do in this video is he doesn't mention how Ezra Levant insults Justin Barrett repeatedly. So a foreigner insulting an Irishman on Irish soil, don't worry about that, guys. Worry about what Justin Barrett said. You know, like, you gotta look at these things and you have to look at it for what it is. The fourth point that I'll make here is he attacked Justin Barrett, and Justin Barrett is only after recently surviving a heart attack. So that's a bit of a scumbag move. Do you not think so? Because let me tell you this. If that was any other member of any other party and someone came out from this side and said and talked things about that person after he had some sort of diagnosis or some sort of health condition, you would be absolutely nailed in the media for that. And throughout these parties, you would be condemned, you'd be called vile, all of the other little buzzwords that they want to use. But he's now after coming out and after attacking Justin Barrett after Justin Barrett has just survived a heart attack. You know, that's dirtboard behaviour, I think, from this guy here now. And it's really opening your eyes up, I hope, now to see what you're looking at. The fifth point I'll make here is he talks about ethno-nationalism. And that's just a way of making you accept multiculturalism. That's all that is. This is the new buzzword that these people want to go with. Oh my god, you're an ethno-nationalist. Well, so are the Japanese, and fair play to them. So are people in Africa, and fair play to them. Like, I'm open to these things. I'm like, yeah, that's grand. It's great for these people. And I'm sure these people here would agree with that. But when it comes to a country like Ireland, it's no, you can't be accepting that. People that come here to this country breathe Irish air into their lungs. Then what you have to do is you have to accept them as just being just as Irish as you are. I think that's absolute codswallop, to be honest with you. And I think it's very subversive, is what I would say. The sixth point I'd say is he's talking about unity. So when you're talking about unity, you have to then actually practice what you preach. So I want to ask Peadar Tóibín, and I want to know from A&2, why was it then when an A&2 member supported Councillor Patrick Quinlan in trying to find out how many foreigners were gifted houses here in Ireland, why was it that A&2 member was chastised by another A&2 member that was identified as Ellen Troy? So why did they do that? Now, as you know, my opinion on this guy is this, and it's very simple. I don't trust him. I don't trust the party. I certainly don't trust the foundations of it. There's been a number of people that have reached out to me and said, hey Ninja, they have a couple of prominent members that are in specific jobs, in specific careers, where they can directly see the ethnic replacement of the Irish people, and they are saying nothing. Very odd. So this video here has gathered 22,000 views in 3 days with 1,100 likes. They've got 64,900 subscribers. You know, I think that's quite something as well when that hits the 1,000 likes. I've often hit 1,000 likes on my channel, but yeah, the views don't go as far as 22,000 at times. I think that's quite unusual. And also the subscribers don't seem to go up. Very odd, that one. But anyway, we'll go through some of the comments here now, because I think it's quite fair to show you the comments. They got absolutely hockeyed over here in the comments. Here's the top one here from Jeff Kemi 6980. How can Tóibín say that behaviour at the Coolock protest was counterproductive when it literally produced exactly what the people of Coolock wanted, which was no iPass centre in Coolock? The behaviour of the Gardaí was certainly counterproductive, but he doesn't talk about that. 174 likes on that. Something else, isn't it? So, just piggybacking on that comment there, what Peadar Tóibín wants you to do there is, he actually wants you to look at this situation like this. Come on guys, we talk to the government, we keep talking to them, we'll talk about policies. But you guys that got something done out in Coolock, whether you agree or disagree with it, can't be seen with that. How come, Peadar, none of your group or with any of the other protests that are happening around the country? Lots of them peaceful. How come you're not condemning the behaviour of the Gardaí when they're shoving people into people's areas that don't want them? John Martin there says, no citizenship unless you've been here 10 years and worked constantly over that period with a clean criminal record. 349 likes. Can you not refer to the political right without putting far in front of it? You see, that's another thing. That's another good comment there from McSherry Studio Art. That's exactly what these people are doing, and how you know that this is an awful lot of a joke. Because when they decide to just immediately go to the far right, like, what are you talking about? Identify it as well. Like, tell me who they are. Who are you talking about? You have to specifically name the actions, the people, and the involvement to which they have in the situation that you're conjuring up here. Because that's what he does for a lot of the video. Just conjures up these sort of ideas. And it's the same thing what the government do. Doesn't talk about, by the way, in this interview, how he was not involved in the leaders' debates when it moved on. Do you remember that the media, they moved around, they did, between Fianna Fáil, Fine Gael and Sinn Féin? They were just like, we'll interview a lot of other leaders. We won't invite Ireland Force there with Derek Bloyer and that, because he's had to get a lot of votes down there in Cork. He is there in the Europeans. We won't invite him or anything like that to that leaders' debate. We'll invite a lot of these people. Peadar Tóibín actually performed somewhat well at that thing, and then yeah, we'll pretend like they don't exist now. We're just going to move on to Sinn Féin, Fine Gael and Fianna Fáil. You're like, what? And people let that slide. They were like, okay, so it's Fine Gael, Fianna Fáil and Sinn Féin. And see, that is, I think, psychologically operating upon people to make them think that that's the only way to go. Bob Green says, if the Irish people ever get an opportunity to vote on immigration, would it be a fair referendum with how much the demographics have changed and are changing? I never got a vote on any of this. The answer to that, Bob, is no. Zigzag Mo says, there's been hundreds of protests around the country where nothing negative happened and ain't here we're nowhere to be seen. In other words, if you don't look, act and speak in a particular way, ain't here want nothing to do with you. Nice is not getting us out of this unholy mess. 34 likes. FY Tube says, Tóibín's hometown Navan is like downtown Lagos. This person said the same thing. Don't believe a word from him. Selena Brown says, but Peadar, you don't stand with the people. Ain't you not a whole lot different from Fianna Fáil, Fine Gael, Sinn Féin and the other open border parties? Yeah, because then he goes on to make a policy of like, it's actually taking years for people to be granted citizenship and or deported and through the court system, but we want to have that down to 3 months. No, how about denying them at the border and before they get on the plane? How about that? That's what I would do. Very simple. But all these people seem to be like running around like headless chickens going, oh, you have to let them in and let them run around the country for a while. Like the guy that was running around threatening Irish children. Like that. Let him run around here for 3 months? No. Jared says, how many protests have Aon2 attended? Absolute frauds. Stay clear of Sinn Féin light. That's a good comment. I like that. 111 likes. I'm not sold on any party at the moment. I want to believe Peadar and his party will take a tough stance on immigration, but their actions don't match their promises. At a recent meeting of Fingal County Council, Councillor Quinlan proposed a motion to compel Fingal County Council to release the figures relating to the number of foreign nationals currently on the local authority's social housing list. A valid motion. So there you go. That's another person that's wide awake to what's going on and what I had said in the videos that had gone around. Derek Tierney says there's one huge problem with all this. There's not one party that can dismantle Fianna Fáil, Fine Gael. Nobody wants Sinn Féin because, let's face it, we all know they bent the knee already. There must be a political party that will stand together for all Ireland and fight these lunatics that's leading our country into oblivion. Very good comment. This man is not what Ireland needs. We need someone who cares for Ireland and our people. Aon2 was a piece of fluff. The level of gaslight throughout the interview is worth of RTE. Another career politician, not what the country needs. Fantastic comment. I love that on there. BB2008. Ed Carl says he is too soft. By the time his long-term plans are worked out, damage will be done. He is not forward enough and will remain fringe party. He is incapable of leadership as the country needs it, overanalyzing and not aggressive enough. You see, this is what it is, and I mean, that's it. You know, he talks about Middle Ireland in this interview as well, and he wants to conflate things like people not being happy with mass immigration with chemtrails and leprechauns and crystals and all that, which is very, I would say, disingenuous. Because we all know that geoengineering is happening. I mean, they've just confirmed it there in the UK that they're doing it. They're banning it in states in America. And Dubai had a flood not too long ago that was caused by it. So these things are real. And yet then he's gone, oh no, these things aren't happening. Like, we all possess the internet here, Peadar. Like, it's a nonsense here from you. So what people have looked at, and they are looking at it right now, they want people in politics. And I said it a couple of years ago. You need people in politics that are aggressive. And you need people that are going to get things done now. Because thinking 4 or 5 years down the line, like, how many more people are going to come and be left off into this country? It's going to be a lot more with the way things are going. And this whole idea of like, but guys, do you know what we'll do? We'll kind of turn the tap off a little bit, but not completely, but let it keep going. You're still going to have a leak. So turn it off. Stop it. This is not what Ireland needs. They need someone way stronger. And I think, to be honest with you, they need someone way more aggressive when it comes to politics and policies. So this interview, in my opinion, was an absolute disaster. I don't think it looks good for Peadar Tóibín. I don't think it looked good for Griff Media. And quite frankly, I think that if they did live streams of these politicians and fielded questions from the chat, or indeed made it look that way, you know what I mean? Like, even give people something, because they're not buying this. And when you have this media that's supposed to be an alternative media here in Ireland start to kowtow to this sort of nonsense and sort of try and, in my opinion, push you in this direction, you know, I think it's quite something to look at. And I think maybe that there's people out there, in the fact that they name check Justin Barrett, maybe you should take a second look and say, well, hang on, why are they afraid of that guy? Pretty interesting. So anyway, let me know what you think in the comments down below. Make sure you like, share, subscribe, and I'll talk to you later. Good luck.